You're alive now. I always forget to change my camera view back. You know, whatever. Hello, guys. Let's turn on the iPad so we can see everybody. Let's mute myself. There we go. All right. Give everybody a few minutes, see if somebody wants to join us today. You can hop on, say hello, hello, hello. Anybody hops on real quick before we get started? I'm going to go ahead and show what I do with my stripes, because I know a lot of people just take and weed the stripes out, but when I was watching a video one day I was like, this guy is genius. So we're going to take and like right along the edge, I have a silicone matter, I would do this with a knife, but anyway, we're going to go right along the edge and we're going to cut it right even with the end of our stripes. And we're going to do that on both ends. And then we'll pull off the extra one at the end because it's not going to be a straight one. And the other side too. There we go. Now what that has done is now we actually have two stripes. So we have the stripe that I cut, and then we have a stripe, an extra stripe in between it that's a little smaller from the spacing in between the two stripes. So now instead of just one set of stripes, I actually have two, and they're two different sizes. So we don't waste. I don't like wasting vinyl at all. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my cup. Actually, just grab that off of here right quick. Grab my stand. Okay, so now I've got my cup. I epoxied it last night with my speed dry epoxy after sealing it. And then this morning, after I got it off my turner, I went ahead and sanded this part down here and the bottom, and then the top rim. I did not sand the white part because I printed my decal on a clear adhesive, so it's completely transparent. So if you sand the top, those sand lines are going to be seen under your decal since the epoxy can't get to it, and we don't want to see sand lines. So I did not sand where my decal is going to go. So what I kind of do is kind of get me a nice even spot, because we don't want to see a bunch of bumps through our decal either. So nice flat spot. And then I'm going to take my decal using transfer tape from yesterday. And then transfer that onto there. And then I'm going to kind of put my backing on for a second so I can take a look at where it's at without it sticking. Make sure it's nice and straight. I'm actually going to put it over to the side so I can see how far up and down I am as well. I'm going to make sure that it's even. Let's see. That looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to stick that side down, pull it over, and then just apply that decal. Get it on there. Remove our transfer tape. And now I've got my decal on my cup where I want it. And I like doing it where it's in transparent over white glitter, because then even like the glitter sparkles come through the color of the decal. So I like doing it on clear if I'm putting it over white. Of course, if you're putting it over a color you wouldn't want to do clear, because the color's going to come through. It's clear. So, alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead, now that I have my decal on, I'm going to go ahead and put my stripes all around the bottom, and then we'll put our glitter dots on the top using our glitter glue from yesterday. So, set that to the side, throw that in the trash, and grab one of my stripes. And I'm just going to start right up here. I start my stripes on the back. So like I'll kind of center it there, turn it over, and then I kind of start my striping on the back center. So that way, whenever you're looking at the cup, you don't see where the stripes meet on the front of your cup. Nobody wants to see that. Get them in place, get them all nice and around your cup, and then we'll get that cut. Hang on. Wrong tool end. That back in there. And it just came off anyway. Carefully put this in here because we don't want to cut ourselves. There we go. Alright, so then I usually take like where it overlaps a little bit, I let it overlap just a little bit, and I'll take and lay my knife down this way and kind of cut it so that way it overlaps. You don't run the risk of having like a gap right there to where you cut it too short. So I always let mine overlap just a little bit. As long as you've got it nice and even, you can't even tell. And then we'll grab our next one. Now remember, you do have two sets of stripes on here and they're two different colors if you do it the way I did. So this next one is going to be the in-between cut. So if you want them all to be the same, make sure you skip that one for now and get your next glitter stripe. Because see, there's that one from in between. So we will put this one down. Where did it end? There it is. See? It's matched so well I couldn't even tell where it went. Striping around. On the back. Again, take it, lay it down, cut. And there we go. That to the side. I'm going to use some of these smaller ones when I get down to the bottom for these thinner lines. I'm going to use some of the thinner cuts of our in-between cuts. That way it matches the thinner lines better. Make sure I don't go too far down because I don't want it to ripple where it gets on the curve of the cup. Try to make sure it's straight. Stay on my finger. There we go. So now we've got these two and this one. So now I'm going to start striping these. And like I said, on the thinner ones, I'm going to use these thinner in-between cuts just so that my lines aren't super thick on a really thin line. So for these, I usually just go right next to it. here I try to go over just a hair as to where it overlaps the bottom line. And then do the other side. And you don't have to stripe if you don't want to. I like striping. To me, it makes my cups look finished. And it hides any imperfections, like where we got it off just a little bit yesterday when we were glittering the white part. Where we got any of the white onto the red and vice versa. It just helps kind of hide those little things. Side of this one. And you'll notice I'm not cutting the top, but that's because I try to start my top where I would actually cut it off, so I don't have to worry about cutting the top. So you're not really even gonna see that in the long run. Let's see, my next one is a thin one and in between. So we're gonna go ahead and grab that one. And we're gonna do one of these other small ones. And I'll just work back and forth between my small and my large cuts as I use that striping sheet. Next one's going to be a big one. And you can kind of see a little better now the difference between the stripes that I cut, the wider ones, and the thinner stripes. So I think if I were to put the wide ones on the thin lines, I think it would be too much. So I really like the two different sizes that it gives me. And I don't waste anything, you know. That's a plus too. So we'll go back with this thin one. darker one. Oop, stuck to my tool. And like where I cut it at an angle there, that's kind of what I use as the angle at the top of my next stripe. Did not cut that one apparently very well. Let's try that again. There we go. Throw these little pieces away. The next one is a little one. Extra little piece that I didn't get cut off with my scissors when I cut the side. Big one, and I think we only have one small one left after this. Yes, very cool. Miss either side of any of our stripes. Looks good. So now we've got those nice defined stripes with the pretty silver, top and bottom nice and defined with the silver, got our decal on. So it just makes it look a lot more finished and refined to me. I like that finished look. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glitter glue and I'm going to kind of put it up the cup coming from the center line, and that's what I'm going to use to sprinkle on my dots. But I want to make sure I don't get any glue on my striping that I just took all that time to put down. So I'm going to take some tape. Sorry if that might have been a little bit loud. And I'm going to go and I'm going to put this tape right over my glitter stripes that I just put on my cup. We're going to go all the way around, making sure that we get it come back here. Exactly on our striping. There we go. And I'm going to tear this extra off, but I'm going to go ahead and do like a little flat fold over. So that way I'm not trying to pick at it whenever I've got all the wet glue up here with my fresh glitter. That way I've got a little handle right there. I can just pull it off and I'm not trying to dig. So just another little tip. Make sure my tape is all the way down. We don't want any glue seeping under our tape and getting on our stripes. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, I'm going to move anything away that I don't want glitter and glue on. Put that over there. Save my extra stripes for later. Okay. I'm going to open up my glue. I don't want my glitter dots over my decal. We don't want that. So I'm just going to kind of start here, put a little bit down, and then I'm just going to kind of brush up. And I'm not going for like an exact like straight line. I'm not going for an exact pattern per se. Like I just literally just want some glue up here, and then we're just gonna use that and then waterfall our dots down. Just kind of spread it around, add a little bit more. Alright, and then I'm going to do just kind of some like little strokes down here, because I don't want it totally bare, but I don't want it over my decal. Alright, so then we're going to take our glitter, get our paper, and then we're just going to take and just let them kind of fall down the cup. Knock off any extras. And that way we have a more sporadic kind of waterfall. Now these are dots, so you can kind of see, let's see if I move this, maybe we'll have a darker. You can kind of see where some of them are actually standing up. We don't want that because it's going to make a really bad like pokey outy. I know, my words, pokey outy, whenever we go to epoxy. So what we want to do is just kind of go through and just lightly tap those down, because we do not want them standing up. Tap, 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 tap. Just back over here. And then we're going to go ahead, grab our little handle that we made for ourselves here, pull this right off, and we have our nice and pretty clean line, no glue on our striping. And these are kind of hanging on to the glue above, so we're just going to push those up because I don't want them over my stripes. Tap down any of them that got raised by taking your glue or your tape off. Don't want rogue guy down here. Tap that guy down. Alright, so now you're just going to let your glue dry. Once that glitter glue is dry, you're good to give it just a light brushing. I like to use, can't think of the word. I just like to use a like paintbrush. I don't use the like really fine one. I'm actually going to add a little bit of dots right in there because it's pretty bare. But just a like brown bristle brush, a chip brush. There we go. It came to me. You know. Just lightly sand or dust off anything that might be hanging out loose on the cup, and then you can go ahead and epoxy that. And after you get your final coat of epoxy on this one, then you're done. You got the pretty Christmas cup with your candy cane stripes and your Christmas tree on the top. So once you got that, then we are good to go. But there's our pretty finished candy cane stripe Christmas tree. So, alright guys, let me know if y'all have any questions. Thanks again for joining me. Bye guys.